the 2-minute stretch, they pull an arm over here, they pull an arm over there, they kind of shake their neck, and I'm like, let's go, So to be honest with you, it takes more than that. You have to maybe get in some foam rolling. So foam rolling actually helps with create some blood flow, a little bit of elasticity in the muscle and the fascia, and then do some dynamic warm up. If you're not sure what a dynamic warm-up is, I say do a little bit of Judy version of what you do for your sport, so that dynamic warm-up is stretching with movement, so you want to create the blood flow. You want to make sure that you're getting elasticity in the muscle fibers.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast, your source for living a healthier lifestyle and developing a better mind, body, and soul. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful fitness gurus, athletes, and individuals who are passionate about enhancing all aspects of life, we provide you with the tools to help you take your lifestyle to another level. And now your host, Quinn Mitchell.
Welcome to Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. This is your host, Quinn Mitchell. Today I have a very special guest. Ron is a therapist. He also is a personal trainer. And he also has a lot of other business ventures in the health and wellness industry. Let's just say he's an overall fitness guru. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing super fantastic, brother.
Glad to have you on the show. So for people not familiar with you, would you mind giving a brief introduction about yourself?
So I'm Ron Hylton. I am a sports massage therapist, certified personal trainer, and I have an online health and wellness business in the online health and wellness space. And I'm also retired law enforcement. I did 20 years working in law enforcement, but I really saw a need to be of service to the community. And I kind of stumbled over fitness and through a friend of mine. And through that, I kind of looked into how else can I help me with service. And I, decided to become a massage therapist and got into the sports massage arena and love the aspect of being able to help people from an injury standpoint and in rehab.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. So my first question for you is, who inspired you to get into the health industry, and were there any obstacles when you first came into the industry?
So it's kind of interesting. I guess you can say since I was a kid, I've always been in some form of the health industry. I started out in martial arts. I have over 35 years of martial arts experience. And in my early 20s, I just had some friends that just was like kind of just throwing out some weights, and, just like, hey, that looks fun, and I just kind of got into just doing some weightlifting and training. And I really didn't get dialed into the actual fitness industry itself until I was 30. And to be honest with you, like I said, it was kind of by coincidence. I just happened to be over a friend's house, and we were getting ready for judo class, and he had a personal training program on his kitchen table. And I just started reading it. And I was like, you know what? This looks awesome. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is something I want to do. Yeah. And from there, I just kind of 3 days later, I ended up ordering the program. And then I ended up working at a local YMCA and then getting picked up after that with a gentleman by the name of Todd Cambia, who owned a place in Westerly, Rhode Island called Precision Fitness. And it just took off from there.
Gotcha. That's awesome, man. So I know you're a massage therapist, right? So with you, and I know you specialize in injury prevention as well. So with that being the case, are there any tips that you could give athletes, like such as myself, or even college athletes listen to this podcast, or even older people that are into sports but they may not know the background behind how to even go about injury prevention?
Yeah, so the biggest thing about injury prevention, what I find out about athletes, especially athletes that train at a high level, sometimes at a high level, they tend to do what I call the 2-minute stretch. They pull an arm over here, they pull an arm over there, they kind of shake their neck, and I'm like, let's go. So to be honest with you, it takes more than that. You have to maybe get in some foam rolling. So foam rolling actually helps with create some blood flow, a little bit of elasticity in the muscle and the fascia, and then do some dynamic warm up. If you're not sure what a dynamic warm up is, I say do a little bit of Judy version of what you do for your sport. So that dynamic warm up is moving, is stretching with movement. So you want to create that. You want to create the blood flow. You want to make sure that you're getting elasticity in the muscle fibers, and you want to make sure that you're warm. You're nice and warm, and there's other things too for injury prevention. I believe in going to see someone for massage on a weekly or monthly basis. I believe in going to see somebody for chiropractics. I believe there's a perfect marriage with that. Doing some yoga. So there are other things outside of what you can do before you actually get ready for your actual sport. So just taking that time to working on doing preventative things, so your risk of injury is low, and your performance can be high.
Got you. And one of the things I also want to talk to you about, because I know we talked about when we met at Starbucks, is how important is actually stretching is. Because I know with me, when I was playing basketball, I hurt my groin, I hurt my hamstring. But one of the things I really overlooked and I hated doing was stretching. And all of my personal trainers was always talking about the importance of it. But how actually important is stretching to helping injury prevention?
So it's super important, and the reason why is because you don't want to go in you don't want to go into your sport or whatever you're doing on cold muscles. All right. So when you go in on cold muscles, your muscles are already locked in. They're not stretched out. They're not warmed up. They're not ready to go into that high performance. So and it's interesting because just a perfect example. It's I have some people that are older athletes, and granted, I think when you're young, for some young people, I think on some level you can get away with just going because you have the youth behind you. But at some point, that doesn't work. I had a gentleman who was a marathon runner, and he was 50, and he ended up pulling his right calf muscle. And I said, well, how much warming up did you do before you started running? He said, I never warmed before I running. He said, I just started running. And I said, well, that's your problem. He said, I've never had that problem. He said, well, ever since I was 23 years old, I would just go run. I said, well, you're not 23 anymore. And I said, because of those bad habits, now you're injured, and your injuries are happening even more often. So it's just a perfect example of that. You really have to take that 10 or 15 minutes time to really warm up the muscle fibers before you go ahead and do anything explosive.
Got you. Now, being a massage therapist, is there like a common injury or like a common theme around a certain part of the body that you see in a lot of your clients?
Yeah, so calf pull, hamstring pull, rotator cuff issues. Oh my God. Growing issue, growing pull. So I mean, those, like common things. Sprained ankles. A lot of sprains. Just very common with my athletes. Low back is like everybody. It's not even with athletes. So that's really common. I would say those are the most common things I deal with.
Got you. And another thing I want to ask you too is I know there's a lot of people in your industry, especially like massage therapists. But I know when we talked also, you talked about how you even have a connection with your clients, so you actually get to know them. So how important is that? Do you think, and does that make you different from everybody else in your industry?
Absolutely. I think human connection comes first before you do anything. And just really just being clear about what your client's needs are, and just I'm a strong believer in knowing who they are, and keeping in touch. And then once you understand who they are and what their issues are and what's going on with their body, and you make that connection, and they show up, whether if it's next week, 2 weeks, or 3 months later, I actually remember what we talked about or what their injury was. So let's say if 2 months go by, and that client shows back up, and I say, hey, how's it going? How's that knee feeling? They're like, oh wow, you remember that from 2 months ago? I'm like, absolutely. How's things going? Is your running getting better? Was your running getting better since I last worked on you?
Mhm.
So yeah, really just asking questions and just being my goal is to be of service to that human being and that person, and just really just getting to understand what's going on and just building that connection.
Got you. Now, for people that don't follow you on LinkedIn, I actually just from your profile picture, you lift for your age. You can lift very very heavy. So one thing I want to ask you, are there any tips that you would give to men that are just starting to work out, or even older people, or just people in general that just want to stay consistent in the gym? Because for you, your age, you're pretty fit, my man.
Yeah, so I would say if you're someone older, especially if you haven't been in the gym in a while, always look up to a professional. Ask questions. If you're someone who had experience working out in the gym prior to, um, don't be that guy who if you're 45, 50 years old and you used to freaking crush it in your 20s, don't be that guy who shows up and think they can go crush it in there like they did in their 20s. You would walk out and you would wake up the next day not being able to move.
Mm,
So just take your time. Take your time. Make sure you warm up very well before you get back in the gym. If you're someone who has never really worked out before, I would say there's no shame in hiring a personal trainer or
mm,
asking questions. I know during these interesting times right now, it's kind of depending on what state you are in. I know there's some gyms that are open, there's some gyms are closed.
mm.
Um, I would say like maybe depends. Follow just kind of look on YouTube. I really don't have any advice on who to follow on YouTube. You just kind of gotta, I don't know. You just gotta use your own judgment in
Got,
that aspect.
got you. Now, being a personal trainer, is there like, if you could give one secret to people that's trying to lose weight, what would that secret be?
Oh man, honestly, you know, it's just a change in your nutrition. You can't outwork a bad diet. I'm a strong believer in using high quality nutrition and supplementation. I think especially with the company I've partnered up with and the products I use are very clean and very awesome, and not a whole lot of cooking involved.
Mhm.
Um, and I think nutrition starts first. I think if you can't really outwork a bad diet. You can't be in the gym and be like, oh man, 2 hours a day killing it, and after that you eating six seven donuts a day for breakfast.
Yep.
So yeah, so I would just say start with your nutrition, and if you don't know how to do that, just again
Mhm.
seek out an expert, reach out to me. I can help leverage with that.
Yes, sir. Now, how do you feel about like the diet pills out there and like the waist trainers that women wear? Like, what are your beliefs on that? Because I know a lot of women, they see them on social media. It's always advertised, take a pill, lose 15 pounds. So, how do you feel about those things?
It's weird. It's funny. A lot of those things, I guess you can say, can work, but it's about what's consistent and what's healthy for you. Um, so you just got to really be clear on what you're taking, and do your research. Do your research on what's out there. A lot of people have a lot of gimmicks, a lot of things they're trying to put out there. I got this hot smoking hot pill with jalapeno peppers in it, and it'll make you lose 50 pounds. Well,
Yeah.
just really do your research. Is that going to be worth my time? Is this something that's going to be long term for me?
Yes, sir. Now, how do you balance out your whole personal life and run your own business, or even your clients and being a massage therapist? Because I know that's a lot for you at times. So, how do you basically balance everything out?
So it's really interesting. Now, so when I was working for Department of Corrections and I was doing that, it was very hard. You know, I was still trying to do my law enforcement job, and I was still trying to balance training and massage and just doing all that. Now, to be honest with you, I make my own schedule. It's not really super intense. I have a calendar, and if you're someone that's trying to run a business and personal life, you have to have a calendar.
Mhm.
You know, I remember when I started doing all this and I retired. I tried to keep everything in my head. Oh my God, it does not work. um, but you make your own schedule. You know, I make sure like at like when 5 o'clock hits, it's family time. You know, I do have a couple of days during the week where I'll do some evening training, but you know, it's only for a couple of hours. But for the most part, it's family time. I just make it a point. And then like Saturday mornings, I do work out. I am contracted out of a chiropractic office on Saturday mornings.
Mhm.
So I do that, and then usually the rest of the day on Saturday, it's whatever. You know, I'll maybe see some clients for massage, or I don't. You
Mhm.
know, and Sundays I usually keep open. So yeah, it's all about how you manage your calendar. You know, and then on top of that, because it's my schedule, I can always say no.
Yeah.
And
So
if I really want,
have you ever found yourself though, like being too overwhelmed? Because I know me at times with my work schedule is it's constantly 60 hours a week, and then trying to balance out working out, and then trying to balance out working on my book. So it's like a whole lot of things. So it could be overwhelming at times. So have you ever found yourself being overwhelmed during those points of times?
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, but it's again, it's for me. You
Mhm.
know, I control my own schedule. So if I do feel overwhelmed, I will just say, hey, you know, I got to take a step back, you know, and there's some times where, you know, I'm human, you know, I've gotten so warm and over busy where I start missing workouts,
Mhm.
you know, and you know, like I said, I'm a human being just like everybody else.
Mhm.
And, but when that starts happening, like, whoa, you know,
Yeah.
I control my own schedule. Like, why am I missing workouts? You know, no one is telling me that I have to do this right now,
Mhm.
you know? So yeah, it is different when you have an actual job, when you have to show up
Mhm.
and then you have to do all these other things versus when you control your own schedule.
Nah, definitely. I definitely understand that. And another question I have for you is, so when you basically when you get your business off the ground, and I know there might have been times where you might have been discouraged or things might have been going your way. So how did you stay motivated during those times?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that helped me is surrounding myself with like-minded, motivated people. You know, I have a really good close friend that you met, Aaron Harrison.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he has such a powerful story himself.
Mhm.
Him being a ex-pro football player and now turned health and wellness coach and motivational speaker and business and entrepreneur.
Mhm.
He's one of my biggest inspirations. So if I've and I mean, me and him known each other since we were 5 years old. So he's one of my people in my circle. So if I'm having those moments, or even in the beginning when I started this, I always gave him a phone call, say, hey, this is what's going on, and you know, we just vibe off each other. You know, um, so I just believe that you surround yourself with the best people that you can find, and when you're having those down moments, or you're not sure what's going on, or you know, or you're just confused, you just make those phone calls. I have another gentleman who was a huge mentor of mine in the athletic, you know, brought me up in the athletic industry. Todd Cambio,
Mhm.
um, really inspirational guy. I he took me into his facility, and I learned how to become a really good athletic trainer, or a sport, you know, personal trainer or coach, more or less. But but yeah, you know, he's always a phone call away. And anytime I had any questions about anything I was doing, I would call him up, and he always gave me like amazing advice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I know when I have people that I met that basically come to me for advice, I always tell them it's oftentimes the people that you have in your circle and the people that are telling you things every day. So I think that's one of the things that people overlook around is like the people who they hang around, their friends. Because a lot of times I even found myself at times I had to cut people off in order to grow in life and become a better person.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Um, and I believe in that too. It's interesting because I'm such a people person.
Mhm.
Regardless if I had some friends that weren't, the best of friends, I always felt like I should just keep them around,
Mhm.
because I didn't feel bad of like just completely cutting them off. But at some point, you got to have what I call a little come to Jesus and just say, listen, they're not really serving me,
Mhm.
you know. You don't have to like completely say, I don't want to be your friend, but for the same point, it's like they're not serving you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
No, I definitely agree. And then one of the last things I want to ask you, because I ask all of my people that come on the podcast, is what is a day to day like routine for you? Is there like, do you wake up at a certain time, or like just can you run me by like your daily routine that you do every day?
all right, yeah. So I wake up typical times around 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I usually sit on my bed. I do like a 2 to 3 minute meditation. I close my eyes and I just visualize where I want to be financially. And that's always the first thing I do. And then, I once I do that, I always put something on motivational. And I think technology is so amazing right now, where you can just go on to like YouTube and just put something on. And my two favorite people to listen to are Les Brown and Jim Rohn.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
So I'll put them on to get my day going.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I get that going, I always post. And I literally have a list on my wall of what I post on a day-to-day basis.
Wow.
Yes. So, for example, I have motivational Monday, turn it up Tuesday, wonderful Wednesday, um, fabulous Thursday, gratitude Friday,
Mm-hmm.
and Saturday. I'll post or I don't post. And then usually Sunday I try to do an article.
Mm-hmm.
But then, after I do that during the week, during the day, once I do the post, I always read something. I got a book that I'm working on right now,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll read a chapter out of that book. And then once I do that, I get going. Most of my day is spent on working and developing and doing reach outs with my online health and wellness business.
Got you.
So that's what I do in my afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the evening, depending on what it is, I may do some training. I do have a couple of people that I do have come over and that work out with me.
Mm-hmm.
We do our workout and just get it in, just crush it
Got
during the week. So that's pretty much it. And I just started a Friday. I actually just started a all women's powerlifting program, which I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah, would you mind just sharing some information about that?
Yeah. So it was just interesting. I guess it just kind of happened like out of the blue. I got a phone call from this young lady who wanted to work on her nutrition. So I gave her a recommendation on what I do, and I said, and she said, I'm also been working out. I was working out with a trainer. So I said, hey, so what exactly were you doing? She said, well, we got a little bit into powerlifting. And I said, oh, really? And I said, well, tell me a little bit about that. I said, I'm a power lifter. I said, I've competed in powerlifting.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, I was working with this trainer and, I ended up, she had me deadlifting like 70 pounds and I thought that was awesome. And I was like, no, that doesn't sound right. So I kind of asked her I asked her what her height was, how much she weighed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. I said, why don't you just come over one day? We'll meet and let's see what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So she came over and then I worked on her form. I worked on her breathing. And then once we did that, I said, all right, let's try to load up a little bit of weight and just see what you can do. So we just took our time. And I tell you, Quinn, she was just like snapping everything up and just kind of just exploding off the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Okay. And then long story short, I mean, she ended up doing a PR of 180 pounds.
Wow.
And I mean, and she's 5'2", you
Wow.
know? So and I was like, huh. I said, would you like to do a class? And she goes, yeah. So I have an older daughter. She's in her late 20s. And I asked her, and I know she was working out with me during the week. And then she ended up crushing it. I worked with her. She ended up deadlifting 245. And then I had another girl I started working with, and she joined our little group on Fridays, and she ended up deadlifting 265. So yeah, just really just working with, and it's just awesome. I was looking to do something different,
Mhm.
and I follow a program. I'm a strong believer in programming. I think if you program well, you'll actually uh, reach your goals.
Mhm. Nah,
Yep, yep.
that's impressive, my man. And the final thing I want to ask you before I let you go, is what is something that you're most grateful for?
You know what? I am grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the things I've learned over the years, and I'm grateful for just my growth in personal development. I'm grateful for understanding how to help and be of service of others, and just ask questions and see what people are looking for. Um, that's something I'm still working on a little bit too, just because sometimes somebody would say something that they're looking for, and I'm a guy, I'm a social butterfly. I get excited.
Yeah.
They say one thing that I can help them with, instead of like keep asking other questions, really getting into the root of what's going on.
Mhm.
I'll just like get excited, but sometimes you just got to be humble, really listen,
Mhm.
and see how you can help, and see how I can help be of service and how I can help them.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, Ron. Like I said, we connected back a couple months ago, and I apologize because I haven't been consistent with responding and everything. It's just been crazy for me, but I do appreciate you always reaching out to me, checking on me, and being a mentor to me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Ken, Quinn, my friendship and my mentorship is free. So, we can always connect. I know I shared some information about what I do, and if you want to take a look at that, we'd love to help you with that. Other than that, we just stay connected, and love to see how I can help and be of service to you, brother.
Yes, sir. And for people that's interested, would you mind giving them your contact information and any websites that you have so they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, so if you want to shoot me an email, it's ronhylton@hotmail.com. If you want to give me a shout on the phone, I love talking on the phone.
Mhm.
My number is 860-514-3910. I am on LinkedIn. It's Ronald Hilton, Hylton. Same thing on Facebook. Um, Ronald Hilton, RonaldHylton. And I just got on me some Insta, so I still trying to work that. I got on Insta like 2 months ago, but you
Mhm.
can still reach out to me. Same thing, on Insta. But I do a lot of my connecting and networking mostly on LinkedIn. I love the business aspect of it, and the conversations I have with a lot of folks on there. So that's pretty much how you could best reach out to me
Mhm.
on a social media platform.
Now, for your personal training, do you do any of that online as well? So people that's living out of state.
So yeah, it's interesting. I did a little bit of online training when we were at the height of COVID, and I didn't like it. Um, I don't know. I guess I'm old fashioned, and
Yeah.
I like the hands on. I like people being in front of me.
Mhm.
And granted, I know a lot of the millennials that are in the fitness industry right now. They're freaking crushing it online. I talked to one gentleman. Um, he's making 10 grand a month right now just doing online personal training.
Mhm.
And I think it's a great avenue. I think it's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't want to. I don't want to be attached to the computer like that myself. And maybe maybe my view would change next year or whatever happened. But, you know, I mean, I got so many other avenues. I mean, to be honest with you, right now, my online health and wellness business is what's been growing right now. And then with massage, that's been doing awesome. And I honestly thought, because of what's going on in the world, that no one's going to want to work. But my work is very specialized. So when somebody's hurt, they're like, Ron, listen, I don't know if you're working right now, but I can't move. So,
No, definitely.
yeah.
So like I said, I appreciate you spending this time coming on the show. And we'll definitely chop it up in the near future, my man.
Yeah, man. If you still want to get up for coffee or anything to come down, I'm still down with that, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
All right, man.
All right.
Listen, I want everyone to keep stepping in their greatness and stay awesome.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
You too, Quinn. Keep stepping in your greatness, brother.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Q's Health and Wellness Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe or to leave us a review on iTunes or the listening platform of your choice. Also, please check us out at quinnmitchellii.com, as well as find us on Instagram for more useful content and resources.